I'm on. Hello. Um, how's my day going? I've been living most of my life living in a gangster's paradise. And other than that, uh, I've got I've got a file sitting here, and I'm gonna try to try to reference it. Uh, it's not very hard. It's a bunch of little goblins that I've drawn before, but I find myself sometimes going, I'm gonna draw a little goblin, and then I start drawing, and like I can't find it. I can't find my goblin, and it's weird. But so sometimes I need a little, uh, just refer back to something I've done before that's worked, and say, oh yeah, that I like that one. So use that. So so I liked the one that I did the other day, and I've thrown him into this folder. I can't find it. Uh, but he's cool. And then there's also, all right, sometimes you just got to pick something. So I'm just going to pick this thing. Designed this guy for the coloring books a few years back. Whatever happened to the coloring books, Gil? Well, let me tell you. I don't know. On the one hand, it was a very successful venture because it's extremely unusual for somebody to go to publish something like a comic book or a self-published book or something. It's extremely unusual for somebody to do that and actually make a profit um, on the first venture. You know, they usually are doing that for several years. You know, maintaining their day job or whatever, and and they're in the red for years. Um, when you consider all of the expenses of the printing and the go to the convention and sit behind a table or whatever event you had lined up that you went and sat behind a table and everything. I mean, never mind your time. I don't think most people are even counting time. It's just, what money did they actually lay out to do it, as opposed to what money did they get back. And most people are in the red for a couple of years before they start to roll it over. Sell some copies, get get enough money to make a second printing, and stuff like that, and then keep rolling their money back in until they've made enough uh, to actually be in the black. We did our Kickstarter and all that kind of stuff, and we ended in the black by about enough money to go out to dinner and then go home. And then that was it. We were out of dough and we were out of books, and would have required a Kickstarter to to print some more books, or some outlay of money that we didn't have. And so, it was like, okay, for the moment, we got to stop. Well, that moment seems to still be happening, and so that's where you are. It's not say it's not a terribly unique story. It's pretty much what happens to everybody, except that I can actually say we were in the black the first time we did something. but we weren't in the black enough to be in business and rolling. You know. That was going to take more money, and we couldn't do it at the time. So I've got this little critter. He's kind of crouching down here. When I shared the first version of it online, people said it reminded them of Larry from the movie, the Ralph Bakshi movie Wizards. There was a little lizard thing named Larry. That was the sidekick of the evil villain, and it's like, don't hurt Larry. I drew him in profile, and he was very cute. And then I'm trying to take the image and rotate it to where he's facing you, and he's not as cute. And yeah, he's just kind of gruesome looking. I don't know. I'm not liking it, so I'm going to abandon it. Abandonate it. It's really one of my favorite sketches. If I could, this usually doesn't go well when I try to pick it up and show you, but I'm going to try to pick it up and show you. It's this little dude, little frog-like guy. It's one of my favorite ones, and I think in order to know what he looks like from the front, I may have to sculpt him out of clay so I can rotate it around. That's a thing. That's a thing that you can do sometimes, or you could utterly fail. So I'm going to pick one of my other ones. Here, got some other ones. Got this program called View, and I like it, and it's a picture viewer thing, and Sissy says, I think you've worked on this one live before, right? But you were unhappy with the size of the guard. You are correct. Yes. And I really his placement, because the top of her head is almost to the top, and I was kind of visualizing the guard and his spear kind of forming that, that triangular thing that I talk about sometimes, that he would be up there, but that's simply not going to happen. So so I got to let him fade away, and it doesn't mean she can't have a guard off in the distance, over here, right? That's he's not necessarily small, he's just further away, and that could work. We can make him a centaur. Yeah, except that there's no, can't see most of it because he'd be behind the throne. I like the idea of her having a centaur for a guard. It just sounds cool. But it's kind of not going to work. There's a lot of things about this that just seem obvious and simple, and they're not going to work. When it really comes down to it, it's not going to work. I'm going to put some kind of an object right here, probably a goblin, and I'm going to put something right here, probably also a goblin. For a guard, and he's going to be holding a spear or something. It always half looks like maybe he's her bodyguard, or maybe she's his prisoner or something, when you've got that kind of thing. But that's all right. It gives you stories to tell yourself. So yeah, we're going to do something. Is what we're going to do, something. And all right. So let's do. All right. The light's coming from over here, so he's shaded on the right. I've got to remember that because I have a natural inclination to shade everything on the left before I stop and look at it and go, wait a second, I should have done that the other way around. So, so yeah. He's a great googly moogly. Kind of suggests there must be such thing as a lesser googly moogly. Because of things, COVID not being the whole thing, but okay, let me clarify. Because I'm terrible at business and other stuff, um, I haven't gone very far in re-releasing my old coloring books. Because of COVID, etc., that situation is not going to get a hell of a lot better soon. Therefore, the books that I'm doing, I'm going to mostly do on a very low budget, and I'm going to pretty much do the work myself. There's not going to be a color cover. There's just going to be a black and white, and it's all going to be something I could do a nicer version of some other day, but it's going to be a simpler, cheaper thing, cheaper to produce thing. And so both the sketchbooks that I'm working on and the coloring books are going to be of that description. So I'm going to have I'm going to re-release my coloring books, but they're They're going to be black and white color cover, um, and it's going to be just like the sketchbooks, 8.5 by 11, folded, stapled. Um, other than the cover, there's 10 sheets of paper and 10 sheets of 11 by 17 paper folded. So you've got 20 sheets. And that's what it's going to look like. I had thought, a few years ago, if I do a second edition, it's going to be bigger and better and fancier and got more stuff and, you know, Bluetooth enabled and, God knows what else. It's not gonna be that. It's gonna be simpler. I don't know if that's gonna make it charming or pathetic. People are wearing shoes that have LED lights on them. You buy Christmas cards that play music. There's really a lot of cool stuff that could be done. But I can't do it, so that's how it is. These lines you can see are wrinkles in the paper. The paper was wrinkled when I got it. That happens. That was a long time ago, but I've had that experience again. Um, Ordering paper from Amazon this year during the COVID thing. I've had good luck with everything except paper. And I've ordered several kinds of art papers, some newsprint and some Bristol board, which is quite expensive. Um, I've ordered some other stuff that came out fine, but I've ordered some things that were particularly disappointing because they were expensive and a lot of it was kind of messed up. They pack it kind of loose in a big box and like you'll get it and the whole pad has done that, because the thing was upside down and then it's like every piece of paper is wrinkled. Sits in there. Monster Guard and Ogre or something wide and short. What about the shoes? John says, what about the shoes? And sent me a link to Paul Simon's Diamonds on Her Shoes. Diamonds on the soles of her shoes. I don't want to put diamonds on the soles of her shoes. That will mess up your flooring like almost nothing else you could do. Your mom will be so pissed off with you if you walk around the house with diamonds on the soles of your shoes. I don't know what Paul was thinking. He's a guard or a wizard or a messenger. Yeah, he's here. He's here in the background. But he's talking to this girl. Queen of the Freaky Things. Kill that one. This picture viewer thing, iView. I always download it whenever I get a new computer, and it's sort of the same. It's like it's the same program, but somehow the computer makes it different, and it behaves differently. So it's like if I'm using it on this machine right here, um, it behaves entirely different than it does on that machine right there. It's weird. It's weird. Trust me. Did I mention it's weird? Because it's kind of weird. Since the whole COVID thing started, the whole shutdown thing on our side of the ocean, I think I've been to the Art Supply store twice. Had misgivings about going both times, although I thoroughly enjoy myself when I go. But I found that I like to buy from Jerry's. I like the company, and I would feel bad if they went out of business, during shutdown or whatever. But when their website used to be pure crap, it was just a horrible website, and they changed it, and suddenly their online ordering is all Amazon now. So you go to Jerry's, uh, you go to try to buy something online, you're launched out to Amazon. So or vice versa, you go to Amazon and look for art supplies. There's a very good chance that everything you're looking at is from Jerry's, but not guaranteed. But anyway, it's nice to know that when I order things online, I'm still supporting my favorite store. So so that part's cool. But yeah, I don't go out. I've been quarantining. Other people have not. They tried to send Stellar her company back to the office. I don't know why they're anxious to do that, but they're anxious to do that. And they were starting their plan. Um, and they had no sooner started their plan than one of the managers came down sick with the virus, and so they backed off on their plan. And I'm not happy that that happened, but I'm also not surprised. It's just like, I didn't want her going back into the office because just because Pfizer says they've got a vaccine and they feel very strongly about it. The FDA still hasn't greenlighted it, and even if they do, Pfizer said they can make 50 million doses next year. Well, that's only 1/7 of the United States, assuming they all went to the United States, and I don't know that they would. And then they said for some reason they think they can do 1 billion next year. Well, great. That's 1/7 of the world. Still don't see myself at the top of that list. Even if it goes much better, that's still 2 years to do half the planet. But be that as it may, the second the FDA announces that they've greenlit a vaccine, about 1 billion people on this planet are going to rip their masks off their face and go, "Woo woo! It's all over!" And of course, it's not over. And and then there's going to be an outbreak like you've never seen before. How's that? How's that for doom and gloom? It's also a fact. It's a freaking fact. Yes, John says it's worse than steel taps on the shoes. Funny, you should talk about tap dancing. I was watching some on YouTube this morning. I've been enjoying a band called Postmodern Jukebox, and they do a bunch of pop songs in some other style, So they'll do a Britney Spears song, with tap dancing, or something. It's fun. They're a fun thing to watch, or you were just listen to. Sissy says, does the frog guy have a holder for the staff? He looks like he would hop away, but he'd need his hands free for that. If he's a messenger, especially if he'd be hopping, because that would be much faster than walking. Oh, you're very pragmatic. I'll have to give that some thought. And John says his anatomy looks fairly human except for the head, like aliens on Star Trek. His eyes would be great for a guard to see over the walls. And Barton says, hate to say this, but she looks like she's sitting on the toilet. Nah, anybody who's sitting looks like they're sitting on the toilet. We're quarantining too, Sissy says, and we have been almost all year. Today was our big weekly going out day. I don't think she looks like she's sitting on the toilet. Okay. Yeah. Doom and gloom facts. There you go. All right, so we're up to date. Both of these guys are pretty pear-shaped, so yeah, human. They look a lot like me, as a matter of fact. And so Yeah, he would. She's right because he's, there's his belly way down here near the floor, and he's kind of squatting. But I think he could stand up. He could stand up more than just hopping like a frog. And but that is a very good point. What does he do with that staff? Does he land with his feet with his hands flat on the ground, or does he have wings so that when he lands, he doesn't bump his ass on the ground? That's an old saying. It's kind of like with my aunt. If your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle. Or if you're if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass on the ground. It's when people start going, oh, but if only. Yeah, well, if only. If only don't really make any difference. So yeah, if he had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass when he hits the ground. Or maybe he would. I think of them as being kind of like the minions from Despicable Me. You're not necessarily evil, they're just, well, pretty much amoral, I suppose, but also uh, biologically predisposed to be followers. They did a movie that was just the minions. It wasn't Despicable Me. It was the minions, and it was cute. My favorite part of it was um, the opening sequence because they were doing. They had like these amoebic form minions that were just following an amoeba around and benefiting from its influence, and it just continued throughout their evolution. They evolved into little. They never evolved much, but it's just little yellow blobs that evolved, uh, serving other creatures. Following around some big mean fish or something. These ones are getting pretty. Which one says mini onions? Yeah, yeah. These are getting pretty messy. These drawings pretty messy, and they start ceasing to be something that most people would look at and go, "That's a cool piece of artwork. I want that, or I want to buy that." But it's it still appeals very much to me, and it's as something, uh, some place to start, something that I can use and trace it and put it on a different sheet of material and still make something cool with it. So I'm pretty happy with it. Gonna give her a costume. Uh, I do really like that. His feet are here, her feet are here, his feet are there. So there's sort of this diagonal. I dislike that. I likened it. I like it. But I don't know what I'm going to do about it, if anything. And so that's been 38 minutes. That's probably enough. I appreciate you coming. And this is Wednesday, so yeah, we'll be back tomorrow and the next day. And I hope you all have a fabulous week in quarantine. And yeah, we'll do the best we can. Take care. Bye bye.